Coming straight at you like we never left. We are KUAM. We are coming to you from Harmon live on YouTube, Facebook, and KUAM TV8. This is the HotSpot. I'm Jason Salas, and here is what's on our show this afternoon.
The menu, brought to you by King's Restaurant, always open, always local, and Ruby Tuesday Guam, home of the Fresh Garden Bar.
The State of the Island address is back on schedule next week. Also, we're going to take you to Tumon Bay to check out our Nuestra Lecanto down at the Hyatt Regency for the Guam Trade Show. And celebrating Pride Month, we share another proud portrait. And right off the top of the show, there is a new date for the Governor's State of the Island address. It's now scheduled for Wednesday the 22nd at 6:30 p.m. at the Congress Building down in the Capitol. It was originally set for the 7th, but was postponed after Governor Lou Leon came down with a respiratory ailment during a debate the week prior. She was specifically advised by her physician not to deliver the address and to focus instead on her health. Guam's congressional delegate, Michael St. Nicholas, was set to deliver his State of the Congress address 3 days later, but likewise postponed, saying he would reschedule his speech until after the governor had time to recover. KUAM's, of course, going to cover the address live when it starts. Late yesterday afternoon, the Guam Fire Department responded to a fire on Mount Santa Rosa up in Vigo. GFD says an engine was dispatched to the fire just after 5 p.m. Along with the Anderson Fire Department and Emergency Services Group, GFD personnel battled a blaze that extended to East Gadinero Street and worked throughout the night. No evacuation orders were issued and no residences were involved. Units were secured just after 11 p.m. Senate lawmakers in national news are beginning to draft the most significant federal legislation to address gun violence in nearly 3 decades. The president has indicated he will sign the bill if it reaches his desk.
Senate lawmakers are putting pen to paper on a landmark bill to curb gun violence plaguing the country.
I will put this bill on the floor as soon as possible, once the text of the final agreement is finalized, so the Senate can act quickly to make gun safety reform a reality.
A bipartisan group of senators announced a framework agreement Sunday, which would provide financial support for states to create or administer red flag laws that would temporarily remove guns from individuals deemed to be a threat.
This bill doesn't do everything, but it is substantial. It is significant. It will save lives.
The deal also expands investments in mental health and school safety and enhances background checks for gun buyers under 21. At least 10 Senate Republicans have already signed on to the proposal, increasing the likelihood of it passing before the July 4th holiday recess.
There's a lot of confidence that we can get this across the finish line, but obviously the devil will be in the details.
On Monday, the Justice Department indicted an alleged gun trafficker in Texas and urged Congress to do its part.
As our agents and prosecutors work to get crime guns out of our communities, we are also committed to doing everything we can to support the bipartisan gun safety negotiations that are taking place in Congress as we speak.
President Biden has signaled he would sign the legislation if it reaches his desk, but would like to see more done. Skylar Henry reporting for KUAM News.
Back to local headlines. There are more new developments both at the national and local levels to help with the tourism industry recovery. Here's Nuestra Lecanto with details.
It's yet another way to make it easier for international travelers coming to Guam. The airport, GVB, and public health are now offering convenient COVID testing for outbound tourists and travelers. Airport Executive Manager John Kinata.
Basically, we're trying to focus on the departing flights, especially going to Korea, because Korea is the only one right now, and hopefully Japan starting, but Korea is the one that's requiring testing upon arrival at their destination.
Passengers will be directed to the ground floor arrivals area where the American Medical Clinic staff will administer the tests for a fee, depending on which tests and how quickly the results are needed. Meanwhile, the Guam Visitors Bureau and Public Health are also coordinating pre-departure COVID testing at 4 locations: the Pacific Islands Club, Hotel Nico, the Hyatt Regency, and the Plaza Shopping Center. Meanwhile, the Biden administration has announced the lifting of the COVID testing requirement for inbound international travelers.
It was effective 12 midnight on Sunday. So those requirements now, so anyone coming into the United States from a foreign country, I guess if they're fully vaccinated, that they'll be allowed to come in without a negative test or without testing for COVID.
Kinata says the airport is seeing an uptick in arrivals, an encouraging sign for tourism recovery.
A lot of the Korean carriers are coming in fully loaded with passengers coming in. So we're feeling the positive effects of the lifting of restrictions here on Guam.
For KUAM News, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
And don't just move, everybody, because you Nestor Lecanto fans are going to like this, because at this hour, travel trade representatives are getting the opportunity to experience our island's current product offering, attractions, optional tours, and activities to better support the demand from the Japan market. Nestor is stationed dutifully down at the Hyatt Regency on Tumon Bay, and he is at the Guam Trade Show. Nestor, what can you tell us about the pace and the tone there?
All right, Jace, thanks. We are here at the Hyatt Regency Guam with the man who needs no introduction, former Governor Carl Gutierrez, who is currently the president and CEO of the Guam Visitors Bureau. Sir, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. This is a very important day today.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the travel trade show.
Yeah, well, you know, this travel trade show, when Japan now is not required to get a test before coming to the United States, Guam included, we're celebrating our 55th anniversary of the first flight of Pan American Airways that came to Guam on May 1st, 1967. That was the start of our tourism, which took Japan here first. So they were our mainstay for a long time. And so bringing them here to see that we are now bringing that same reason of how we started tourism 55 years ago, and that's going to be their cultural centric, bring the island's beauty and the people and, you know, and the culture back to their thinking. So bringing them here is kind of inculcating in their mind that Guam is going to rediscover the very thing that we offered in 55 years ago. And so we got all these travel agents here and from Japan, and we've got the Consul General from Japan, Kobayashi-san, who's here just really pushing, helping us push the Japan market to hurry up and begin coming to Guam.
Tell us about the importance of having a FAM tour like what you're doing today.
Well, these are the people that are either, they're independent free travelers or they're travel agents itself. They need to come here and feel Guam, not only from the perspective of the beauty, but actually speaking with people, feeling that Guam really is a friendly island and that the people of Guam are not averse to having tourism here, simply because tourism works for the people of Guam. And that's what we've been doing at GVB, to make sure that the mayors are in there, making sure that the people are happy out there. And so having done that, when the tourists come to the south, for example, they'll be happy to be greeted by happy residents.
And we also have over 24, I believe, presenters here. It's also an opportunity for the tour operators to showcase their wares?
Absolutely. They're here. They're all displaying their wares from duty-free shoppers and all the way down to the food truck kind. They're here. And so these people are going to take back every little aspect of what Guam is offering. And it's up to them now to kind of highlight that in their own media way. So hopefully that what we've done today and tonight, I hope that you come and see their excitement tonight at our reception at the Nico at 6:30.
All right. This is GVB President and CEO Carl Gutierrez reporting about the travel trade show for the Go Guam Tour. I'm Nestor Lecanto. Back to you in the studio, Jace.
All right, so thanks so much, Ness, reporting, of course, live, as he said, from Tumon Bay. Obviously, a lot of smiles there and a very, very good tempo, good feelings all around as we welcome our brothers and sisters from Japan and the tourism industry, but obviously very, very critical towards the economic future of Guam. So Nestor's going to have more on that tonight at 6 on primetime, of course. He'll have full details. Well, please stay tuned, my friends, because when HotSpot continues, I'm going to tell you about the Guam National Guard setting up a new space control squadron. Stay tuned. Space Force coming at you right after this.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Got a question about your finances? You've come to the right place. Bring all your accounts together, even those that aren't with us. and see the big picture, right down to the smallest detail. Unlock powerful tools like Insights and Money Map that help you save time and take control of your finances. When you connect accounts with the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
Northern Marianas, rise up to the challenge! June 17th through June 25th, the Northern Marianas will be hosting the NM Pacific Mini Games 2022. Athletics, badminton, baseball, beach volleyball, golf, tennis, triathlon, ba'a, and weightlifting. Visit northernmarianas2022.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks to the Tensu Lin Foundation, Joe Tendai Foundation, T Galleria, Docomo Pacific, ITNE, NMC, Elan Group, Marpac, Fish Guy Scuba Charter, Atkins Kroll, Glorified City Limit, McDonald's, Mobile, Triple J, NM Tech, and Bank of Guam.
Properties in the Tropics is your weekly roundup of the hottest properties on Guam. Every Thursday, get a virtual walkthrough of homes, apartments, townhomes, and land available for lease, rent, or sale with a breakdown of the most important info, including cost, features, and of course, location details. Watch it on KUAM News Hotspot at noon on streaming and TV8 or catch the encore at 5 p.m. on TV11. You can also check out each installment on Instagram too. Properties in the Tropics is presented by Remax Diamond Realty. We're celebrating the class of 2022 on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Weekend Edition beginning in June. Send your graduate's senior photo along with their name and school and brief description of future plans to head of the class at KUAM.com. Their photos will be shared on our social media platforms as well as KUAM News Weekend Edition. Open to middle school, high school, and college graduates. Congratulations, class of 2022, presented by the University of Guam.
Subscribe to our KUAM News Digest, our weekly email newsletter with all kinds of information straight to your inbox. Just subscribe and we'll make sure to keep you informed and entertained with news from the KUAM News team, what to watch on NBC and CBS, and the latest promotions from KUAM Communications. Go to KUAM.com, click on the newsletter tab at the top of the homepage, register, and you're all set. Brought to you by Uno Go, Guam on Demand.
You continue to stream the Hotspot here live on YouTube, on Facebook, and KUAM TV. Now, I want you guys to ask questions in the comments if you guys so desire, because we got a great interview right now. The Guam National Guard is standing up a new space control squadron, and joining me now to talk about what this means and the efforts going into such a massive, and technical project, our Lieutenant Colonel Jeremiah Hitchner. Colonel, Hafade.
Oh, thank you for having me. I
Very good to see you. Welcome to the studio, sir, and an amazing mission, to say the least.
Yep. Yes, sir. So we're actually standing up a defensive space control unit for here on Guam. We have 71 personnel. We've currently recruited to 30 people that are actually on my books and supporting it, and we're sending people to school. We actually have the first graduate of enlisted undergraduate space training, Javan Delgado, Staff Sergeant. He just graduated this week out at Vandenberg Air Force Base, so we actually have our first thing. That's a real big win for us.
Congratulations, Mr. Delgado. Okay, we'll try and get him on, we'll try and, permitting, if the DOD allows us to, and we'd love to interview him about that.
Yes, sir. I will definitely bring him back in and get him out to the studio.
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, so Colonel, for people that may not be familiar, everybody has heard of like the Space Force, the newest branch of the U.S. military. I just got to say, because I'm a marketing major and these kind of things like really motivate me as a civilian, what is the motto of the Space Force? Because everybody knows, the Marines looking for a few good men, the Army goes rolling along and everything. Navy's it's not just a job, it's a venture. What is the Space Force's
Semper
motto?
Supra, always above. That's the Space Force's motto, so
nice.
A good one. And as the Air, we're still in the Air National Guard as our unit, and we support the Space Force, so we get pulled over. But yes, all our guys are aligned to Space Force, and we're attached to them. So we still follow the motto, and we still do all that. And like I said, we have the patch on our side that we started to wear just this week. The Air Force allowed us.
Could I get you to turn to the side, Colonel? Maybe we can get a shot of that if the camera guy goes. That is a beautiful patch right there. So, Space Force. I like that. That
so you'll start seeing this more and more on island. Hopefully, over the next couple years, you'll see a lot more of it. This is Guam being so strategically located is very big on having to have space units here. So there's a great stance for more Space Force entities out here. We just happen to be one of them that's out here that's being known. As we move forward too, as for the Guard itself, it's a great for the government of Guam to have this because we can support more than just the federal mission. Our personnel are fully trained in space. They are fully up and they can actually support functions for the government of Guam during like typhoons or anything like that, getting commercial imagery and commercial support.
Very cool. And we certainly appreciate that. So, on behalf of all of us and civilians, especially us here at KUAM, because we've always had such a positive relationship with the military. Thank you for all that you do and for the service that all of you have taken up.
Yes, sir.
Where would you, or where can you draw the delineation for those of us civilians that are still kind of fuzzy on exactly what Space Force does between what the Air Force has always done? Because I grew up in Jigo, so like I'm just like a few miles from, literally from the entrance to Anderson Air Force Base, and now what the Space Force is doing.
No, so what we end up doing is we pulled those, the Air Force has always done space up till 3 years ago, and what they did was the government actually pulled those entities that were doing space outside and pulled it into its own service, so they stood up from there. The Air Force still does flying planes and still uses ISR that we support from Space Force to give to them. So they still use some of our functions. It's just how we realign a little different.
Those big ISR drones.
Yes, sir.
Oh, those are nice.
And then those ISR drones actually use space SATCOMs to fly. So when you see the Global Hawks fly out of Anderson, they actually use SATCOM linkage that we support from Space Force or commercial entities. And what I do for my mission is I actually watch those links to make sure they're not interfered with. So that's one of the key things we do. As far as the difference between Space Force, Air Force, if it's flying and it's in the air, it's probably Air Force. If it's up in space, it's us. My units really from the ground up, I watch all those SATCOM satellite communications and make sure they're clean and nobody's messing with them. And I have the ability to actually see if somebody's interfering, where they're interfering from, and I feed that up to my space or the Air Force brethren so they can strike it or retaliate if needed.
And again, I'm going to draw on my marketing background, if I may, Colonel, because the commercial that you guys had that ran on, I know it ran during the Super Bowl and many national programs. It showed like a young person, like very prototypical like young kid somewhere in Nebraska looked up at the sky and saw like the stars and said, "I wonder what's out there." So for young Guamanians that are contemplating, what else is out there, what's up in the sky. Can I make a career out of this? Can I serve my country to do that? What kind of career opportunities would be available to us?
So 100%. For Space Force, they're constantly recruiting. So you can reach out to a recruiter for Space Force if you want to go active duty. If you want to stay on island and be part of the Guam Air National Guard, we have positions open. And we are actively recruiting right now. Our recruiting's at 85%. We're not having a hard time recruiting. So get in soon while there's still opportunity. But we are recruiting specifically to the Space Force and having good ASVAB scores. We do have a higher mark for ASVAB to get people in just because of the technical skills and those things needed to actually operate our systems and understand orbitology and all those physics things that come with our capability.
What kinds of skills does a high functioning, well performing like a Space Force member? Do they typically have STEM? I would assume is probably like one of the number ones.
Oh yeah, I would love STEM's great, but and the main thing really is computer knowledge, computer understanding. If you can code or you can do that, Space Force is really big on coders and bringing them in, and they allow us to have a little bit more leeway than most other services with actually interacting with code and actually improving our systems if we can. So they're very big on doing that, and they're very big on making it, like you said, the STEM piece. Like if you have that, or if you want to pursue STEM degrees, I need officers, I need enlisted, I need everything on my side.
So also like having a lot of self-discipline, obviously, leadership qualities. And it's funny because some people might go to you and it's like, oh, Colonel, I know how to program for the cloud. And you're like, son, we actually operate above the cloud.
That's fair. That's fair. No, that's good. And I mean,
obviously telling very, very lame jokes is not going to endear me to, the U.S. military.
No, but you're good, sir. But there is things where we're advancing in the space side. There's going to be clouds in space, the cloud in space, where they're pushing information off over multiple satellites forward. We're just on the verge of getting past GEO, where we're talking cislunar. There is more. I mean, you're on the infancy of the Space Force. If you come in now, you're talking like where they were laughing at people talking about jet fighters. We're laughing at people going beyond the moon. We might be talking about in 20 or 30 years, and you might be part of that, getting us there. So that's what Space Force is, getting into this and getting here. The future is just bright from this side.
May I ask, as a member of our U.S. military, what does it mean to you to literally wear that patch, but then also, in the manner in which you conduct yourself and, doing shows like this and telling people like, this is what we're doing, this is in defense of our country, and we need your help and everything. I mean, you're literally bearing the colors of this brand new branch of the military, which is already doing fantastic work.
Yes, sir. I think it's a great thing. I spent 16 years in AF Space, Air Force Space Command prior. That was Air Force side. So I've lived and breathed this. I did cyber. I also did space in that. And being able to come over here and they stand up a Space Force and we can wear the patch to show that we're connected with them is a great big deal. It's awesome to be able to stand with them. But once again, we still haven't been completely pulled over, so until that happens with like a Space National Guard, that's what we're waiting on. That's when I'll be super happy.
Okay, and then just one more question, if I may, Colonel, because, you know, again, I've been fortunate to interview so many people, you know, officers, enlisted men over the years. How's the food?
Oh, the food
in the Space Force.
It's good. It's not space ice cream out of the bag. We get the regular ice cream from the Air Force, so they feed us and they keep us good. So Air Force, we do a little bit better, and they make sure we got good golf courses, good food, good places to sleep. So I'd always recommend either join Space Force because we use the Air Force, and you don't have to deal with all the Air Force stuff, but you come over Space Force side. That's
very cool. So, hey, MREs are fantastic.
Yep.
We're big fans of MREs here.
All right.
Okay, so Colonel, thank you very much.
You. Thank you so much.
A pleasure. And please come back anytime because we would love to catch up with you again and find out what's going on with this and how our local community, which is, you know, ask any Guamanian, you know, would you like to serve in the military? You'll get like 50 guys like lining up around the block ready to serve. So we'd like to catch up with you in the future and find out how that's going.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
All right, thank you so much, Colonel. All right, please stay tuned, everybody. We will be back with more HotSpot when the show returns.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Through June 25th, the Northern Marianas will be hosting the NM Pacific Mini Games 2022. Athletics, badminton, baseball, beach volleyball, golf, tennis, triathlon, ba'a, and weightlifting. Visit northernmarianas2022.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks to the Tensulin Foundation, Joe Tendai Foundation, T Galleria, Docomo Pacific, IT&E, NMC, Elan Group, Marpac, Fish Guy Scuba Charter, Atkins Kroll, Glorified City Limit, McDonald's, Mobile, Triple J, NM Tech, and Bank of Guam.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Want a better look at your spending? With Money Map, you can automatically create budgets and manage where your money is going. Know when you have a green light, or when it's time to slow down. Maybe cook more meals at home this week. Set your goals, track your progress, and find your way to exactly where you want to be. With Money Map from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. It all starts with yes.
Properties in the Tropics is your weekly roundup of the hottest properties on Guam. Every Thursday, get a virtual walkthrough of homes, apartments, townhomes, and land available for lease, rent, or sale with a breakdown of the most important info, including cost, features, and of course, location details. Watch it on KUAM News Hotspot at noon on streaming and TV8 or catch the encore at 5 p.m. on TV11. You can also check out each installment on Instagram too. Properties in the Tropics is presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
And the next pick in the 2022 NBA draft is Johnny Davis. Let me tell you about Johnny Davis. This kid is special with a capital S. He's an incredible shooting guard.
The toasted cheddar chalupa is back, only at Taco Bell.
Subscribe to our KUAM News Digest, our weekly email newsletter with all kinds of information straight to your inbox. Just subscribe and we'll make sure to keep you informed and entertained with news from the KUAM News team, what to watch on NBC and CBS, and the latest promotions from KUAM Communications. Go to KUAM.com, click on the newsletter tab at the top of the homepage, register, and you're all set. Brought to you by Uno Go, Guam On Demand.
All right, guys, we are back in the studio. Joining me right now is the one and only Tomas Manglone, who actually, like, I must admit, everybody, Tomas would have joined me earlier in the show, but after that last interview, he's filling out his applications for the Space Force right now.
Yeah, what a great interview. I can't wait. We might have the graduates on later this year, right? So
man, that would be chance of a lifetime. And I was telling the Colonel this, like, when we were in commercial break, Tomas, I was like, I've had the opportunity to interview people from generals, admirals, all the way down to, you know, like buck private, you know, airmen, seamen, whatever like that. It's always such an amazing honor to be able to interview people in uniform.
Right, and Jason, someone else who's just as inspiring is up next in this segment that we're continuing for Pride Month. It's our digital feature called Proud Portraits. Josiah Duenas is an 18-year-old from Agana Heights, and they are a recent graduate from FD, and writes in this letter to his younger self, telling himself to lead with pride. So here's our latest feature with Pride Portraits.
Dear Josiah, You're probably at a point in your life where you feel like you're in an empty room, much like this one, where no one will understand you, making you unsure of yourself and uncomfortable in your own skin. Of course, with the comments they throw at you and the slurs they pull out of their mouths, it is going to hurt, but nevertheless, it will never define who you are or break you down. Just because you do something different from what society conforms us males to do does not mean you are an outcast. I am here to tell you, Josiah, that you are a special human being. There is only one of you out of billions. You know what that means? It means that you are unique, a star, born to slay like no other and continue to be who you are meant to be. Whether it is a queen or a king, you have to remember you are the narrator of this story, your own story. So I ask of you to be proud of who you are and to continue to lead with pride. Sincerely, me.
All right, another amazing portrait of Pride Month. There's so many members of our community, and we stand with the LGBT community. Where can people actually find this entire series? Because that was just one of several that you've produced so far.
Right, and so it's fully on our YouTube page, Facebook, and Instagram. And next week, we're going to be heading to the CNMI to feature some members of the LGBTQ+ community there. So really excited to share really a regional look at the pride that exists within the Marianas.
Outstanding. Jason. You were at the Pride Parade last year at the CNMI. You were up there, right?
I wasn't. I was virtual.
Oh, was that 2 years ago?
It was virtually, yes.
Okay.
And so always a good time with Pride Marianas Youth. And some of its members are going to be on this program next week. So,
okay.
Yeah,
you know what? We got a few moments, Tomas, but you are actually going to head back up to the CNMI because there's an event going on up there. You reported on this last night that the Pacific Mini Games is starting this week.
Yes, a huge event. The first time the NMI is hosting it. Quite literally, the dust is settling from all of the construction and the bleachers are being set out. You can't miss it if you're in the NMI right now. The first team from Papua New Guinea just arrived on their plane. So
PNG.
We have lots to look forward to. The opening ceremony, 4 p.m. And I know it's something that our sports director, Dave, is also going to keep a close eye on. And I'll be on the ground, hopefully, to capture what it's like to be there for the very first time. I can't imagine how busy it's going to get.
Yeah,
so.
Papua New Guinea always does really, really well in sports. PNG has always been a thing even before the graphic format.
9 sports, so lots to watch, and we'll bring you the very latest as it comes.
All right, so we're going to have you stay here on the set because you did double duty for us today because you got another story to introduce.
Right, and so in this week's Getting Digi With It, we're going to report on a drone-equipped taser that raised some eyebrows and some of the latest developments out of Apple that you can look forward to. Here's that story. Scottsdale-based tech company Axon has stopped the development of a drone-equipped taser after most of the company's ethics board resigned over the idea. Last week, the company pitched the taser drone in a press release, saying it had formally begun development of a non-lethal remotely operated taser drone system as part of a long-term plan to stop mass shootings. The Associated Press reports the Axon Ethics Board voted 8 to 4 weeks ago to recommend Axon not proceed with the pilot. After blowback from last week's announcement, the company's CEO and founder released a statement that read, "Our announcement was intended to initiate a conversation on this as a potential solution, and it did lead to considerable public discussion that has provided us with a deeper appreciation of the complex and important considerations relating to this matter. I acknowledge that our passion for finding new solutions to stop mass shootings led us to move quickly to share our ideas. However, in light of feedback, we are pausing work on this project and refocusing to further engage with key constituencies to fully explore the best path forward." And now turning to news out of Apple. Apple's annual Worldwide Developers Conference took place on Monday, June 6. Apple unveiled new features in the next operating system, iOS 16, to iMessage, including the ability to edit or unsend messages. Apple says the new feature will also allow you to mark threads or individual messages as unread so you can read them later when you have time. Apple Pay will also be enhanced, and there's a new safety check feature for victims of domestic and intimate partner violence. Apple also has a feature for iPhone called Continuity Camera. A beta version of iOS 16 will likely arrive over the summer. Editing your Apple iPhone text messages. What about that?
I'm still drooling. iOS 16? Yes, please.
And
take my money, please, Apple.
And I don't know how you feel about it, but you can't even edit your tweets yet. So you can edit your text messages first before your tweets, Jace.
Well, if you actually, if you pay for the paid version of Twitter, Twitter Blue, you can edit your tweets.
All right. Well, yeah. I'm not paying for it, but
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, big Elon Musk fan right here. So. Or not. All right, so for Tomas and myself, Jason Salas, thank you so much for watching. Remember, Nestor is going to have full coverage of today's Japan Trade Fam Fair show that's going on at the Hyatt right now. That's coming up at 6. So from all of us here in Harmon, have a wonderful rest of your lunchtime, and we look forward to seeing you tonight at dinner time for Primetime. Bye-bye.